The death toll due to Typhoon Tino climbs to 92. Over 70 of the fatalities were recorded in Cebu, the hardest hit province. 20 others remain missing. Authorities say over 700,000 were displaced and half of them remain in evacuation centers. At least 53 cities and towns have declared a state of calamity. The Office of Civil Defense says despite early warnings of the incoming typhoon, many were still caught by surprise in Cebu.
Lessons learned for us dito is how do we humanize yung warnings na binibigay po ng Pag-asa or ating mga warning science agencies, no? Kasi yung binibigay nila sa atin in terms of warning ay very science-based. Ang challenge po for OCD and local government units is how to humanize or localize these warnings kung na maintindihan po ng ating public.
Meanwhile, Dr. Mahar Lagmay, the Executive Director of Project NOAA, offers solutions in preventing the loss of lives again in flood-stricken areas in Cebu in case another powerful storm hits the province again.
There are two aspects there. One is probably we could have done something short-term, and also we could have done something long-term. The short-term is that we had a very good warning by Pag-asa. The track was good. The rainfall predictions were good. The people living in those places should have been evacuated. They should have not been there. In terms of the long-term solution, probably so that this won't happen again, we try to develop areas that are away from the floodplains. Let's make room for the river.
Cebu province dealing with the worst flash flood in its history. That's how Governor Pam Baricuatro described the onslaught of Typhoon Tino in the province, saying it's even worse than Typhoon Odette in 2021. Cebu remains the hardest hit area with a death toll nearing 50. Authorities say most of the fatalities either drowned or were hit by debris. According to Pag-asa, Typhoon Tino dumped nearly a month's worth of rainfall in just one day in Cebu in southern Leyte.
In less than 10 minutes, biglang the water rose dramatically. No, people had no enough time na tumakbo. That's why they all have to do is to go to their roofs na lang. Kasi yun lang talagang a mode of survival nila. The day before, we already alerted LGUs, no? Nagtaas na kami ng red alert the day before, and Pag-asa gave us ample warning. And we also did our part as a provincial government to warn the LGUs about the impending typhoon. Kumpiyansa, you know, they took it for granted, no, na hindi walang flash flood. Ang bagyong Tino kasi, Karen, no, it's not more of the wind, it's the water that really got us. Yung naka-endanger ng lives. Yung iba naman, they did not heed our warning, they did not heed a preemptive evacuation. They insisted to stay in their properties. So, yun yung nangyari doon. Kaya may casualties.
Governor Baricuatro also questioning why such severe flooding happened despite billions of pesos allocated for flood control projects in Cebu.
You began to ask the question kung bakit grabe yung flash floods dito when we have 26.600 billion for flood control projects. So yun lang naman sa akin. I begin to ask question, bakit ganun? 26.6 plus 600 plus billion yung ano dito, flood control funds. And yet ito yung nangyayari sa amin.
Malacanang is urging Cebu Governor Baricuatro to provide more information about anomalous flood control projects in the province. Palace spokesperson Claire Castro says President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. shares her frustration over the questionable infrastructure programs. Castro, however, underscored there were more flood control projects in Cebu during the administration of former President Rodrigo Duterte.
Yan po ang dahilan kung bakit po nagpapaimbestiga ang Pangulong Marcos Jr. Dahil nakita niya po yung epekto, may mga budget na inilaan para dito pero parang hindi gumagana. Kung siya man po ay nagagalit, yan din po ang nararamdaman ng Pangulong Marcos Jr. At kung meron po siya pang mga alam, may mga facts, may mga data rin po, si Governor para dito mas na makakatulong sa ating gobyerno para mapanagot ang dapat mapanagot. Yan po ay welcome.
Meanwhile, Marcos has ordered government agencies to keep their Christmas parties and year-end celebrations simple in respect to typhoon victims across the country.
Bahagi ito ng pakiisa ng administrasyon ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. sa taong bayan na nakakaranas ng maraming pagsubok dulot ng sunod-sunod na sakuna sa bansa. Mula sa lindol na yumanig sa Visayas at Mindanao at sa mga bagyong tumama sa ilang bahagi ng bansa. Paalala sa mga kawani ng gobyerno, mahalaga ang pagdiriwang ng Pasko na may pag-aalala sa kapwa nating patuloy na bumabangon at nagsisimulang muli mula sa maraming kalamidad na tumama sa bansa.
The Philippine Air Force is probing all possible angles in the deadly crash of its helicopter in Agusan del Sur. The tragedy claimed the lives of 6 airmen conducting relief operations for victims of Typhoon Tino. The Super Yui was on a rapid damage assessment mission when it lost contact and went down near Loreto town. Air Force officials say they cannot yet pinpoint the cause of the crash as weather, technical and mechanical factors are all being closely studied. Malacanang, meanwhile, assured families of the fallen airmen of full government support, including financial aid, employment assistance, and scholarships for their children.